There we go. Helps if you press the button. Hello, 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 and welcome along to another edition of Saturday Sessions here on YouTube with me, Claire Holdich, my fabulous moderator David, who's got a bit of a relaxed day today because, this is a bit different. This is a bit different to our usual Flutifull time. If you are new around these parts, then welcome. You are welcome to sit back and enjoy the Flutifull music, which today has been chosen genre-wise via the fabulous members of the Flutifull Club over on Ko-fi. I've just realised the Ko-fi thing's disappeared. There we go. If you are interested in being able to choose a future set list and support the stream in general and also become a member of a fabulous community, then do check out the Flutifull Club over on Ko-fi. Or if you want to be able to join in the chat today for this Saturday Sessions, and the chat is already really lively, that's fantastic, then hit the join button that you'll find on the channel at the bottom of the chat. It's like a $sign or on the main page, and then you can chat away. Let's just see what's been going on in the chat before we embark on today's journey, which I should say is a classical affair. It is a classical affair. Let's just scroll through, pick out some highlights. Wilbur has been watching the golf today from near Dover. I think England is having warm temperatures. Yes, you could say that, Wilbur. It's a little bit warm and tropical-like, hence I thought I'd go with another tropical background today, which I'm loving, and I think some of you are too. David says, nice background, cooling. Yes, we're definitely in need of it, and I think David is as well, by the sounds of it in the chat. It's even warmer with him over there. David also saying, happy summer solstice. Yes, indeed. Today is the official first day of summer. Definitely feels like it, doesn't it? Just here, and it's nice and warm. Oh yes, indeed. Christian, hi Christian. Christian asking if the set list is available. Yes, and the bot has just dropped it for us in the chat. If you would like to follow along with today's set list, then it's not going to be on screen, but you can via the streamer song list link, which is in the description of the video if you're not able to access the chat today. So if you want to follow along the set list, you are welcome to do so. There we go. Right. Let's proceed then. Now, because today is a classical set list, usually I've been doing 16 tracks on my Saturday sessions. However, because some of these tracks are quite short, you've got a bit of a bonus today, folks. So there is going to be 20 tracks for your perusal today. So I hope you sit back and enjoy all the Flutifull music from a variety of composers. Now, when we say classical, I am using classical in the loose sense. Thank you, Christian. First Ko-fi from Christian, and look at the GIF. Look at the GIF. I couldn't resist a little bit of crazy Mozart for today's stream. So if you want to see crazy Mozart on screen, then you know what to do, folks. Over on Ko-fi. Thank you so much, Christian, who says one more evening to enjoy. Absolutely. Right, where was I? Yes, I was just explaining that. Classical, we are using classical in the loose sense. So classical strictly is kind of music from 1750, 1810, 1820, something like that. However, I'm going with classical in the loose sense. So you're going to hear music from all the decades, all the centuries, brought to you today in a most Flutifull style. So I hope you enjoy. Right. Let us proceed then. So, the first choice today that I've made is, I thought it was very appropriate to start us off with, especially if you are just waking up today. So I know many of you in the States, it's early for you. So I thought I'd start off with a beautiful song which introduces the morning. This is Song of the Morning by Elgar. Now, you might not know that Edward Elgar, English composer, was self-taught and he struggled to achieve success until his 40s. So I was quite pleased to hear that. Gives us hope. When after a series of moderately successful works, his Enigma variations, which of course one of his most famous works, became immediately popular in Britain and overseas, and that was composed in 1899. So sit back and enjoy our first Flutifull tune today. This is Chanson de Matin by Elgar. Thank you, Roberto. Look at the Mozart go. Here we go. There we go. Lovely, soothing piece of Elgar. I think you'll agree to start us off today. And yes, we often think of classical music being soothing and slow and sleepy. And it looks like Wilder's already been affected by that. Christian's saying, "Wake up, Wild! Wake up, Wild!" Now, I do promise you, folks, that today's set list will include a few bangers. Will include a few more lively numbers because classical music isn't all soothing. There are some dramatic moments as well. So there's going to be some lively tunes. There's also going to be, I've tried to make a mix of stuff that we don't always get requested on Flutifull Time, because actually we've got quite a lot of classical things to choose from in the set list. So I've tried to mix it up today, and hopefully you'll hear a few things that you don't recognise. So there we go. But on to the next tune, and I definitely think you're going to recognise this. Oh yes, this is one of the big hitters. So this tune is by Elgar. No, that was Elgar. We've done Elgar. What am I on about? I've missed one off. Hang on a minute. There's one missing in the set list. Apologies, folks. I'm looking at the set list. Oh, no, I see. I see what's happening. David's crossing things off for you. Don't say you don't get service round here. Right, okay, now I know that. I know what's going on. Okay, so the next tune, I think you will know it. I'm actually thinking of the one after that you'll definitely know. But if you're a regular on Flutifull Time, you will know the next tune. So the next tune is one of classical music's most famous composers. I think you'll have heard his name. It was Bach. But did you know that Bach was the 8th and youngest child of Johann Ambrosius Bach. What a name, folks, Ambrosius. And he was the director of the town musicians of where Bach was born, Eisenach in Germany. And Bach was influenced by many, many different styles when he was writing, French and Italian in particular, including composers such as Vivaldi and Lully. So there we go, a little bit about Bach. And looking at the chat, David saying this is one of his favourites. So we are about to enjoy a little bit of Flutifull music by Bach, a tune known as the Arioso in A. Go, a little bit of soothing Bach for you there, folks. There's known as the Arioso in A. That was a tune that Bach liked to kind of recycle quite a lot. He used it in lots of different things, and yeah, it's beautiful to play. So there we go. Lots of people enjoying that in the chat. Thank you to my mummy Janet for the lovely emojiing. Christian, thank you, and Katrina. Yeah, well, what do we expect, really? What do we expect? Anyway, I'm going to have a slurp of tea before we go any further, because even though it's warm, folks, the tea is still here. I hope you're enjoying your beverage of choice. Ooh, ooh. My mug has gone very strange. Anyway. The tea still tastes good, even if the mug looks a bit weird on camera. Right, onwards. Now, I did promise you some non-sleepy classical music. And I did promise you one that you definitely knew. So that is coming up now, folks, in the form of this by Georges Bizet. Now, apparently Bizet also didn't achieve much success before his very final work, and that was, of course, the opera Carmen, and it's become one of the most popular and frequently performed works in the entire operatic repertoire. A champion of his work was Friedrich Nietzsche, who claimed to know it by heart, and he described it as being music that makes no pretensions to depth, but is delightful in its simplicity, so unaffected and sincere. So let's enjoy a little bit of Carmen now, and this is the famous sultry dance number called Habanera. Yes, that is just so suitable for the tropical vibes we've got going on today, hasn't we? Very sultry. There we go. That, of course, was the Habanera from Bizet's Carmen. Thank you so much to H. Fraley for the super chat. Sorry, I forgot to mention it before I played that one. Where is it? There it is. Awesome. Ice cream money, says H. Fraley. Thank you so much. That's very kind and definitely needed right now. I will enjoy that later on. That's awesome. Thank you to David for subscribing. David, welcome along to well, my Flutifull corner of the internet. I hope you enjoy everything that's to offer here. And I should also say at that point that I'll be back tomorrow. So today is a set list where I'm playing a genre chosen set list chosen by Flutifull Club members. Tomorrow, though, you get your chance to request. Now, I should say that all the numbers that I'm playing today are available to request every Sunday on Flutifull Time. So if you'd like to join us from 5 p.m. UK time tomorrow, you're very welcome. And chat is open to everybody on Flutifull Time. So there we are. Right. Moving along. Now, I did promise you some numbers that are not often requested on Flutifull Time because this is a great opportunity to show you those. So the next one is one of these, and this is by Edward McDowell, who you might not have heard of. So let's give you a little bit of information on him. He was an American composer and pianist of the late Romantic period. He was best known for his second piano concerto and his piano suites, from which this tune is taken, entitled Woodland Sketches. Woodland Sketches includes his most popular piece, which is this one. And in 1904, he was one of the first 7 Americans honoured by membership in the American Academy of Arts and Letters. So there we go. Great to include an American composer amongst today's music. So from his Woodland Sketches, this is To a Wild Rose. Tune that you might not recognise, called To a Wild Rose by Edward MacDowell. Hope you enjoyed that one, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Right, let's continue, I think, straight on to our next number. So next up, we are heading to a tune that I'm sure many of you know, and you might think that this was composed many years ago, but this one comes with a bit of a twist. So this is the tune known as Albinoni's Adagio. Now, Albinoni was an Italian composer of the Baroque era, and while he was famous in his day as an opera composer, he's really only known today for his instrumental music, and this again is his famous is the tune that he's most famous for. However, Albinoni is only we can only credit Albinoni with a small part of this little tune, because this tune was largely written by Remo Giazzotto, who I think's just got the most amazing Italian name ever. So Giazzotto is a 20th century musicologist and composer and a cataloguer of the works of Albinoni. Now, he came across a fragment of this tune, and it was just the bass line and 6 bars from the main violin part, apparently. However, the fragment has never appeared in public, and what we know as the Albinoni Adagio was actually copyrighted by Giazzotto in 1958. Can you believe it? So this tune that we know is not really old at all. It was actually composed around 1958. Now, the version that you're going to hear today is a version that I like to call fully flutifull, i.e. this is a backing track and arrangement that I've put together myself, and you can find all of the ones that I've put together being fully flutifull covers on my channel as videos, so you can enjoy this one with a video as well if you enjoy it. But anyway, I'm about to play for you now live this version of my Albinoni's Adagio. Here we go. Albinoni's Adagio. Really Giosotto's Adagio, and really my Adagio, I suppose. There we are. I hope you enjoyed that, folks. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, Bill was asking a very important question in the chat, and I did nearly talk about this, so thank you for bringing it up, Bill. Bill was asking, what does Baroque really mean? Great question, Bill. So I said earlier that we're defining today classical as everything we think of as classical. However, the history of classical music is really divided into periods. We've got kind of medieval, really, really early. Then we've got Baroque, and yeah, David's giving us a really great description there. Baroque followed Renaissance or medieval, yes, and preceded the classical period, characterised by its dramatic, ornate, and often extravagant style. Yeah, so Baroque period was kind of 1600 till 17. What did I say earlier? I'm terrible with dates. 1600 to 1750, I think. And then 1750, 1820 is classical. And then 1820, 1900 is what we call romantic. And then it always makes me laugh that everything past 1900 is just called 20th century. I think we're in need of a new label now. But anyway, there we go. So it's really just the labels that we give when things were written. But then you get something about Albinoni's Adagio that kind of throws a spanner in the works. So there we go. Anyway, I'm going to enjoy a little bit more tea before we get any further on. Lots of love for that one. Lots of love for that one. David says, sweet. H. Fraley says, too good. Well, I'm really pleased you're enjoying the music so far, folks. Lots to come today. So stay tuned. Right, we are moving onwards to. Let me see what it is before. I can't. There we go. Right. We are moving onwards to something that falls in the very late classical period. Very late indeed. This is a composition by another Italian composer with a fantastic name. Oh yes, Vincenzo Bellini. How am I doing with the Italian pronunciation, Roberto, today? Bellini. Now, Bellini was an Italian opera composer, famed for his long, graceful melodies and evocative musical settings. He was a central figure of the bel canto era. Now, bel canto translates as beautiful singing, and it was really a singing style that dominated Italy at that time, and has become the benchmark for how classical singers train still today. Bellini was admired not only by the public but also by many composers who were influenced by his work. His songs balance florid embellishment with a deceptively simple approach to lyrical setting. So I hope you enjoy this. This is a song that I've had the pleasure of teaching to many students over the years, and I always thought how simple but how pretty it was. So it's my pleasure to share it with you today on the flute. This is entitled Vaga Luna, which translates as a lovely moon. go. Lovely Moon by Vincenzo Bellini. How beautiful is that, folks? I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed that. Right, let us continue because we've got lots more, and we're gearing up now for a bit of a lively one, folks. Are you ready for this? Now, I've often said that this is the trickiest little piece that I play on Flutifull Time, so I'm hoping all goes well today. In fact, I'm just going to give my hands a bit of a wipe because they're getting a bit sticky, folks. Now then, this little piece is by Belgian composer Francois Joseph Gossec, and he was acknowledged to be the greatest instrumental composer at the end of the ancient regime in France. Apparently Marie Antoinette loved his music, and after an amazing about face, he was also acknowledged to be the greatest composer of the Revolutionary and Napoleonic periods. So he was going pretty well in his day, folks. He was going pretty well. But all his fame has since faded into memory, and Gossec now is instead remembered for having composed this little piece called the Tambourin, originally for flute and orchestra. Now, it's taken from his divertissement lyrique, which is a genre similar to opera, called Le Triomphe de la République, ou Le Camp de Grand-Père. So, the Triumph of the Republic, or the Camp of the Grandfather. Now, this delightfully bright and lively piece is nearly mandatory among flutists. You'll hear it quite often played as encore, and the greats such as James Galway and Jean-Pierre Rampal have performed and recorded this many, many times. So I am going to attempt to play this delightful little piece for you now. Are you ready, folks? Without further ado, this is Gossec's Tambourin. I think I'll take that at the end. There we go. That was the delightful little Tambourin by Gossec. It's such a fun little piece, isn't it? And like I say, an encore favourite of many a flute player. Wilbert says, I'll wager she practiced this. You would be, that would be a safe bet, Wilbur. That would be a safe bet. Thank you. David says, love the bounciness. It is such an awesome little piece, that, isn't it? You can see why lots of people like to play it as an encore. Nice and just short and sweet and, yeah, to the point. I love it. And Mummy Janet saying, brilliant, Claire. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Right, moving along nicely then to our next number. So we're going to calm it down a little bit after all that excitement. And here is a tune that you will definitely recognise because especially if you're in the UK, because for many years it was used as the music for British Airways. That's right. Next up we have the famous flower duet from Lakme. Now this of course was composed by Léo Delibes, who was a French romantic composer best known for his ballets and operas. His works include ballets Coppelia and Sylvia, and of course Lakme, which was composed in 1883. And here you can hear the influence of Bizet, who we heard earlier with a little bit of Carmen. So I hope you enjoy this, a nice soothing tune for you in the form of Delibes' Flower Duet. We go, folks. Oh, isn't that lovely? Glorious, glorious stuff. The flower duet, of course, from Lakme. Katrina, enjoying that. I'm loving the emojis there, Katrina. Thank you so much for that. Yes, those lovely little flowers. Mother also getting in with the flowers there. Now, don't forget, if you're a channel member here on YouTube, not only do you get access to the chat on Saturday sessions, you also get access to some very Flutifull exclusive emojis, and I promise, folks, there will be a chance to use one. Right now, are you ready? So I could not have a classical set list without including some music from the next composer. He is the only composer that we have a special emoji for here on my channel, and quite rightly so, because in my opinion, he is the greatest composer who ever lived. And I am, of course, talking about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Now, despite his short life of only 35 years, his rapid pace of composition and proficiency from an early age resulted in more than 800 works. Amazing. And they represented virtually every Western classical genre of his time. He was the most glorious innovator and a pretty cheeky chappy to boot as well. So I had to include some of his music today. Oh, and it's great to see those Mozart emojis in the chat. Thank you, Linda, Wilbur, Katrina, all going for it. Yeah, love it, folks. Thank you so much. So the Mozart that I've chosen today is one that doesn't always get chosen a lot on Flutifull Time, but it's from my all-time favourite Mozart opera, The Magic Flute? No, it's not. What am I talking about? It's The Marriage of Figaro. I don't know which one's my favourite anymore. The Marriage of Figaro. This little aria is sung by Susanna, who is the main character in the story, really. And she's the servant who, in the end, gets her comeuppance over the master of the house. It is a story about the aristocracy and the working class getting their way, really. So I think there's a lot to be said for this story. Anyway, it also produced some of the world's most beautiful music, and this is just divine. I hope you enjoy this from The Marriage of Figaro by Mozart. This is De Vieni non tardar. There we go. De Vieni by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Oh yes, you can't beat it, folks, can you? You can't beat it. Lots of love for that one in the chat. Thank you, folks. Thank you, thank you. Look at those Mozarts go. All right, I'm going to have a little bit more tea. Before we continue with the Flutifull music today. So next up is another composer that I really, really admire, one of my favourites indeed, Claude Debussy. Was a French composer. Now, he's sometimes seen as the first impressionistic composer, which goes around the same time as the impressionist painters, although he vigorously rejected the term. He was, however, amongst the most influential composers of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Born to a family of modest means and little cultural involvement, Debussy showed enough musical talent to be admitted at the age of 10 to France's leading music college, the Conservatoire de Paris. He originally studied the piano, but found his vocation in innovative composition, despite the disapproval of the Conservatoire's professors. He took many years to develop his mature style and was nearly 40, so another composer who didn't achieve success until his age 40, when he achieved international fame in 1902 with the only opera he completed, Pelléas and Melisande. Now, this is taken from a pair of arabesques composed for piano by Debussy when he was still in his 20s. Wow. Now, this is most beautiful, and I really like playing this one because the backing here is on the harp. So sit back and enjoy this beautiful piece, Arabesque number 1 by Debussy. Oh, there we go. I just think Debussy has such an unusual sound in his music. It's so gorgeous, so much colour to it. That was Arabesque number 1. There we go. Now, if you're just tuning in today, welcome. You are most welcome to sit back and enjoy the Flutifull music with us. Today's set list has been chosen by Flutifull Club members over on Ko-fi. So if you want to get involved in the action and the community, then check that out and you can have the chance to choose the next set list for the next Saturday session stream. Today's set list is a classically chosen one, so sit back and enjoy the classical tunes. Now, on to our next number, which is one that I am pretty sure you will all recognise. Again, if you're in the UK, you might remember this one as being from the Horvis advert. Oh yes, that open piece of music, of course, is the Largo from the New World Symphony by Dvorak. Now, Dvorak is a Czech composer who frequently employed rhythms and other aspects of the folk music of Moravia and his native Bohemia, following the Romantic era nationalist example of his predecessor, Bedřich Smetana. Dvorak's style has been described as the fullest recreation of a national idiom, with that of the symphonic tradition, absorbing folk influences and finding effective ways of using them. And Dvorak has been described as arguably the most versatile composer of his time. Now, this symphony in question was composed after Dvorak had visited America and, well, should I say the US, and he was just in awe at how different it was from his homeland that it inspired him to compose the New World Symphony. So sit back and enjoy Dvorak's Largo. music of Anton Dvorak, of course, from his New World Symphony. There we go, lovely stuff. Lots of love for that one in the chat. Linda summing that up nicely with the emojis there. I like it, Linda. Yes, awesome, awesome. Lovely stuff indeed. Right, continuing on then. So, the next tune is one that I remember very well from my youth, but one that might not be known to everybody. I remember singing this one quite a lot as a young singer, and it's a beautiful, beautiful lyrical melody that's perfect for young voices. It is Panis Angelicus by the French composer César Franck. Now, Franck was a French romantic composer. He was also a pianist, an organist, and a music teacher. And he was born in present-day Belgium, in Liège, which at the time of his birth was also part of the United Kingdom of the Netherlands. His best-known works include his symphony in D minor, the violin sonata, and a setting of this Panis Angelicus, which is the penultimate stanza of the hymn Sacris Solemnis, written by St. Thomas Aquinas for Feast of Corpus Christi. Panis Angelicus translates as Bread of Angels and has often been set to music separately from the rest of the hymn. Most famously, in 1872, Franck set this for tenor voice, harp, cello and organ and incorporated it into his Mass for Three Voices. So I hope you enjoy this today. Beautiful, beautiful tune by César Franck. This is Panis Angelicus. There we go. Gorgeous, gorgeous melody. I'm sure you will agree that was Panis Angelicus by César Franck. Now, a couple of people saying they don't think they've heard that one before. So there we go. It is one of my favourite things to introduce people to new music, no matter the genre. So it's my pleasure to introduce that one today to you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Oh yes. Right, continuing on to our next number. Now, this is another tune that you might not know, and again, it's one that I am very familiar with. This time was absolutely written for flute and piano and has an interesting story behind it. It is the Morceau de Concours by Gabriel Fauré. Now, Fauré was perhaps one of the most well-known French composers of them all. He was an organist, pianist, and teacher as well, and his musical style influenced many 20th century composers. He was appointed Professor of Composition at the Paris Conservatoire in 1896, and it was natural that the great flutist Paul Taffanel, who also taught there and was a great friend of his, should turn to him for a concours composition, which turns out to be the famous Fantasy. Yes, the Fauré Fantasy is a wonderful piece of repertoire for many professional players. For the same occasion, Fauré also composed a brief sight-reading piece, properly titled Morceau de Lecture, that would provide a good test of musicianship. So this was actually designed to be sight-read by students at the conservatoire, and that just blows my mind. Not really because of the notes, but because of how beautiful it is. So I hope you enjoy this. This is Fauré's Morceau de Concours. There we go. How lovely is that? The Morceau de Concours by Gabriel Fauré. And Linda saying, new to me. but nice. Oh, we'll take that, Linda. Thank you so much. Yeah, awesome. Really lovely to introduce you to that. And Bill as well. Bill says, first time this for me too. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And don't forget that all the tunes that you hear today can be requested on my regular Flutifull Time live stream that takes place every Sunday, 5 p.m. UK time. Check out the channel page for more details. Right. I think I'm going to have a little slurp of tea before we go to our next number. I hope you're enjoying your beverage of choice, folks. I hope you're enjoying your beverage of choice. Right, onwards. This, I believe, is a tune that you will indeed recognise. It's by Gluck, who was born in 1714. I always imagined that Gluck was born much later than that, but no, he was definitely a Baroque composer, raised in Bohemia, which was part of the Roman Empire at the time, and he gained prominence at the Habsburg court in Vienna. It was there where he brought about the practical reform of opera's dramaturgical practices, for which many intellectuals had been campaigning, with a series of radical new works in the 1760s, among them Orfeo and Eurydice, from which this is taken, and Alceste. He broke the stranghold that opera seria had enjoyed for much of the century. Gluck introduced more drama by using orchestral recitative and cutting the usually long da capo aria. His later operas have half the length of a typical Baroque opera, so he was quite the innovator in his time, and I'm sure, like I say, you will recognise this, possibly the most famous tune from Orpheus. This is Dance of the Blessed Spirits. we go, from his most famous opera, Orpheus and Eurydice, that was Dance of the Blessed Spirits by Gluck. There we go. A lovely, lovely tune, that, isn't it? Really, really beautiful. Now, if you recognise this one, the last one, then it's my pleasure to introduce you to something that you might not recognise. This is another song which I've had the pleasure of teaching to many a singer over the years, and I thought it would work very nicely on the flute, so I introduced this to our set list a little while ago, and it's by a composer that you may not have heard of. It's his name was Max Reger, and he was born in 1873. He was indeed a German composer, pianist, organist, conductor, and academic teacher. He mostly composed German song, chamber music, choral music, and works for piano and organ. So sit back and enjoy this little song entitled Maria Wiegenlied, which translates as Maria's Lullaby. Isn't that gorgeous? Maria Wiegenlied by Max Reger. Beautiful, beautiful tune, I think, and works very, very nicely on the flute indeed. Right, now, another tune that works so nicely on the flute is this next one, and I think many of you will know this. It's by the French composer Jules Massenet. Now, he was a composer of the Romantic era, best known again for his operas. So we've had a lot of composers into their operas today, haven't we? And he wrote more than 30 operas, including this one called Thais, which is based on a novel of the same name by Anatole France. Tells the story of the 4th century Egyptian courtess called Thais, who was converted to Christianity by a monk who lived in the desert and eventually became a saint. The opera was a great success and stayed in the repertory of the Paris Opera continuously until 1956. In the opera, this piece serves as a symphonic intermezzo in Act 2. Although it's an original form, it was essentially a violin solo. It's been transcribed for almost every conceivable instrument and is often played at flute recitals. Yes, I am, of course, referring to the famous Meditation. There we go. Such an amazing piece of music. That was, of course, the Meditation from Massenet's Thais. Oh yeah, lots of love for that one in the chat. Thank you, folks, for all the great emojiing and all the lovely comments. Christian also says, I think this is as almost as popular as Masakani's intermezzo from Cavalier Rusticana. Beautiful. Yeah, it's got a similar kind of vibe, hasn't it? Yeah. It was really, really nice, that. Really nice, and it's easy to see why it's been hijacked by many an instrument. Now, talking of pieces that have been hijacked by instruments, that applies to our next number. Now, this is a cover of a cover, essentially. It's another one of my fully Flutifull covers, and this time I'm covering a tune which was covered by Ralph Vaughan Williams. Now, Vaughan Williams was an English composer. Now, his works included operas, but he also wrote ballets, chamber music, secular and religious vocal pieces, and orchestral compositions, including 9 symphonies, and that was written over 60 years. He was strongly influenced by Tudor music and English folk song, and this tune he took from a hymn tune which was written by the vicar of the town that he named this piece, if that made sense. The original tune was a hymn, and Vaughan Williams made this into a gorgeous piece for organ, originally entitled Rosie Medra. Now, it was my great pleasure to make this fully Flutifull quite a while ago, and it's a joy to play it again today. So I hope you enjoy my version of Vaughan Williams's Rosie Medra. There we go, definitely a sleepy tune indeed. That was my fully fluteful version of Rosie Medra by Vaughan Williams. Now, we are coming close to the end of our set list today, folks, but we've got another 3 tracks for you before we finish, so I hope you'll stick around and enjoy those with us. I'm just going to have a little bit of slurp of tea before we continue, and Wilbur, of course, reminding us that... Yes, I am back tomorrow as well. So 5 p.m. UK time, I'm here for my regular Flutifull Time request show. And all the tunes that you've heard today are available to request, along with lots more. So if you fancy something different, from rock to musical theatre to folk to jazz, then do come along to tomorrow's stream where you get to pick the tunes. But like I say, we've got a few more to finish off today. So next up is another very laid back tune, which I'm pretty sure you will recognise, this time composed by a German-born French composer, Offenbach. Now, Offenbach was a cellist and impresario, and he's remembered for nearly 100 operettas of the 1850s to the 1870s. And, of course, his uncompleted opera, The Tales of Hoffmann, from which our next tune is taken. Now, sadly, Offenbach died in October 1880 with the manuscript for this opera in his hand, we are led to believe, and that was just 4 months before its premiere. Now, spookily, Offenbach had a premonition, just like Antonia, the heroine of Act 2 of Tales of Hoffmann, that he would die before its completion. So there we go, folks. That's a very interesting one for you indeed. Anyway, we are going to enjoy one of the most beautiful tunes from the opera. I'm sure you recognise it. This is the Barcarolle. From Tales of Hoffmann by Offenbach. Lovely little tune indeed. Now, a tune that you cannot describe as being little, but you can definitely describe it as being lovely, is our next number. Now, this has become a very, very popular favourite on Flutifull Time, so it's my pleasure to bring it to you today. Now, if you've never heard my version of it before, don't fear, it is a little bit shorter than the original, which is almost 17 minutes long. Yes, I am, of course, referring to Ravel's famous Bolero. Now, Ravel was a French composer, pianist and conductor, and is often associated with Impressionism, if I can say it, along with his elder contemporary Debussy, who we heard a tune from earlier. Although, just like Debussy, Ravel did not like the term Impressionism. Indeed, in the 1920s and the 1930s, Ravel was internationally regarded as France's greatest living composer, and indeed, Bolero is one of his most famous compositions. It was also, just like Offenbach that we've just heard, one of the last compositions to be completed before, unfortunately, illness diminished his ability to write any music. So sit back and enjoy as the magic builds. This is my version of Ravel's Bolero. Ravel's famous bolero in a slightly abridged form, of course, but I hope none less dramatic than the original. Oh yes, lots of love for that in the chat, and so much that it's given our resident dancers an opportunity to have a bit of a boogie. There we go. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, David was telling us that to dance the bolero properly, you have to have stamping of the feet and sudden pauses in a position with one arm arched over the head. So I hope, guys, that you were adhering to that. I hope you were. Yes, and other people were maybe not having a boogie, but just alluding to the wonderful performance, of course, by Torval and Dean to that magical music back in the 80s. There we are. Fantastic stuff. So that brings us, folks, I'm afraid to say, to the final number of today's classical set list. Now, this might be a tune that you know, it might not be, but it's my great pleasure to play it for you today. This is by another composer that I greatly admire. His name was Franz Schubert. Now, he was an Austrian composer of the late classical and early romantic eras, and despite his short life, he composed more than 600 songs, as well as other vocal works, 7 symphonies, sacred music, operas, incidental music, and a large body of piano and chamber music. Yes, he was a busy man. Now, in amongst those beautiful, beautiful songs that I urge you to check out if you're not familiar with them, is this. This is a song that is entitled Ode to Music, and just before I play it, as I always do, I'd like to read you the translation of the lyrics. The lyrics are: "Beloved art, in how many a bleak hour, when I am enmeshed in life's tumultuous round, have you kindled my heart to the warmth of love and borne me away to a better world. Often a sigh escaping from your harp, a sweet celestial chord, has revealed to me a heaven of happier times. Beloved art, for this I thank you." And I can think of no better way to finish off our music together today. This is Schubert's Andy Music. There we go, Schubert's Ode to Music, finishing off our Saturday sessions today. So there we are, folks. Thank you for enjoying some classical music with me today. Bill saying we are getting a classical music education today. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the little facts along the way as well. There were certainly a few things in there that I learnt when I was putting together today's music. David says, thanks, Claire, a lovely set. Well, thank you, David, and thank you for all your work as moderating us as well in the chat. That's awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, there we go. So thank you all to everybody who's contributed today. Thank you to Flutifull Club members over on Ko-fi for choosing classical as this month's genre. Thank you to everybody who's donated via Ko-fi and via Super Chat, Super Thanks. It really is appreciated to keep the musical content coming your way. Do not forget, folks, that I will be back tomorrow. It's a double stream weekend. So tomorrow I'll be back with my usual Sunday stream, Flutifull time, from 5 p.m. UK time. And I need you there. I need you there because it's a request show, folks. So come along, get some requests in from a whole wide range of genres, not just classical. So if you fancy something a bit different tomorrow, then come along. You can set a reminder on the channel page. I have got a new cover coming out on the channel this week, and it's very, very exciting. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. So there we go. I hope that's whetted your appetite, and I really do hope you've enjoyed the Flutifull music today. So until we meet again, I hope you stay safe, take care of each other, and most importantly, folks, I hope you stay Flutifull. See you again soon. Thanks a lot. Bye.